Over the past few years in the Dino toy community, there have been several shows that have tried to rise up and make something similar to Dinosaur Island or a dinosaur documentary, but most of them have failed. Don't get me wrong, there are a few shows that have risen up over the past years and done great things. However, I think it was past the 2017 marker, that's when everything just started to crumble down. If there were any shows that were out at the time, they were either A, filmed by a potato, or they just didn't finish whatsoever. I myself am even victim of both of these things. However, despite this drought of shows, there were a few that managed to come through, and one of these shows was Isle of the Mesozoic. Isle of the Mesozoic, in my opinion, is what Mesozoic Isle strived to be, but couldn't. The only real main difference is that Mesozoic Isle was much longer in episode-wise than the Isle of the Mesozoic, with Isle of the Mesozoic episodes usually ranging between 10 to 15 minutes, while Mesozoic Isle was usually about 30 minutes. Let me start off with things I actually like about Isle of the Mesozoic. Let me start off with how the show is paced. In my opinion, the show is paced pretty well. There are actually moments when the show is going really fast at really high speeds. It's actually kind of hard to keep up, but in my personal taste, I have no problem with that. There aren't a lot of slow moments, and those that are there usually go by kind of quickly, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Cinematography-wise, the show isn't truly anything special, but it isn't terrible whatsoever either. It's very similar to my own series, Engine Dinosaur Profile. It's a shaky camera, but I have personally no problem with it. You can tell what's going on, and there isn't any moments where it's like, why is it pointed at the sky? It's always facing forward, and you can see what's going on. As well as that, something else that I find pretty good about this show is the almost lack of commentary. Every so often, here and there, there's going to be a little bit of voiceover, but it isn't that long, and there isn't that much of it. You have plenty of moments where the show is pretty silent, and it's just dinosaurs doing what dinosaurs do, walking around, sometimes eating things, and sometimes just doing basic activities. It's not always over and over with this guy talking. He sometimes just takes a minute for us to take in the scenery of what's going on, and as a viewer, I think that is really nice. Something else I like about this show is the lack of exposition. You don't know entirely why you're on the island, you don't know why there's dinosaurs on it, you just know, hey, dinosaurs are here, there's a guy filming them, this is kind of cool. There's no real explanation as to why there is in the actual show. However, there is actually a website that you can look at to kind of get more of an explanation as to why they're here, and I don't think it's ever explicitly said in the show, it's just on the website, and in my personal opinion, you could leave without the website. It's perfectly fine to just watch the show and go on without knowing why these things are here. It's just better to know that they are, and then that there's a guy filming them. However, I do recommend that you actually do go and check out the website, as there is some pretty cool things on there if you do want info about this island. I'm not a big lore geek, so I'm not gonna exactly go in there and just like hammer at all the lore and just like write it all down. I'm not gonna be like that. However, if you are a type of person that wants to know exactly what is going on, I do recommend that you check out their website. Now, my favorite thing about this show is it does what most shows that are like this dino documentary style-esque show, it does something that they usually don't do. They actually finish it! I will say it's sometimes a hard thing to do, but when you see it and when it's pretty well done like this, I have to give them props. My last point that I'm going to make about my favorite things about this show is the fact that the plot is not always the same. It isn't a rinse and repeat. It isn't just dinosaur go attack other dinosaur, bye-bye. It isn't just that. There is variety. There is plots where dinosaurs go to a river just to go to a river. There's other plots where dinosaurs specifically are just hunting the entire episode. It's crazy because this is something we don't see that often. Most shows are pretty unoriginal with how their plots go. It's just usually a big dino fight, then boom, it's over. This show instead actually goes to an original kind of plot line each episode, and I really, really dig that. Another kind of plus that I'm going to add in to like a secondary part to what I just said is something that I think a lot of shows use, but it's always good when I see it. There's more than one plot in the episodes. There's usually like 2 or 3. Like the one I'm showing right here, compies are just whiling around. They're just doing what compies do, usually looking for something dead that they can eat. And then in another half of the episode, there's raptors that go after a Pachycephalosaurus just out of the blue, and I really, really like that. Now that being said, there's always going to be a few negatives here and there. Like in most shows, there's a few finger slips here and there. I myself even suffer from that. It's nothing that's going to be like, grr, this makes me want to dislike the shit out of this video. But it isn't terrible. It's just kind of like a noticeable, It doesn't really degrade the show, but it's just kind of like a little pet peeve for me. Something as well that I kind of always feel is a bit weird is sometimes just randomly throughout the episodes, the video will be slowed down. I'm guessing that's to make up for music, and in that case, I myself also do that. However, the way that this guy slows down his videos, I'm not sure if it's maybe his camera or just the way he edits things. However, it's a tad weird because it's like a frame by frame thing, and it's just a bit And that's really all the negatives I have for this show. Overall, I think it is really good. And while some shows may not be able to finish, this one did. And that is the main thing I want to stress here and why it is really, really nice. It is because it actually finished, which is something that is so great. Most shows don't finish, but this one, it did. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself here. I just really, really want to stress on the fact of how extraordinary that is. And it's something that makes this show, in my opinion, 10 times better. I recommend to anyone who hasn't already seen the show that it's probably a good idea you go and watch it. If you're a fan of these kind of like DI type series, this one is one that I think is a must-watch for you if you have not already seen it. That's all I have to say about the Isle of the Mesozoic, so thank you guys for watching, and I'm going to see you in the next video. Goodbye.